Hi, this is Stephanie Greegor. I'm here with Dave Seaman with Columbus Wired on the bench. Tonight, Columbus Blue Jackets took a shootout loss to the Calgary Flames. They're now 9-22-5 on the season. They're going to play again on Thursday against the Dallas Stars and again on New Year's Eve. Press conference with Scott Arniel, head coach. Team effort tonight was pretty good. Better than we've seen over the season so far. It's kind of been unfortunate that when you have a season like this, you're losing as much as they've been losing, and for reasons that a lot of people still don't understand quite why they're losing as much as they are. When they have a good team effort and they lose, that's unfortunate.
Well, you're 18 points out of the last playoff spot, 17 after tonight because Nashville didn't play. And to say that this has been a disappointing season, really, I think the word to use for this season is underachieving. This has been a very underachieving team. This team has figured out different ways to lose all season long. And, the most recent stretch where the Blue Jackets have blown third period leads, the Blue Jackets in their last 18 games have led or have been tied in the third period. And they've only won 3 or 4 of those games. So to get a point against Calgary in a shootout, it's nice, but the realism is that this is not a playoff team. It's possible. Statistically, it's possible, but for that to happen, the Blue Jackets would have to pretty much win every game or every other game, or and there's a lot of things that you can point to as to why this team has not performed this year.
One of the weaknesses that we've seen with the Blue Jackets, and that is they're running out of gas in the third period. One of the reasons that we've seen that they've lost conditioning, an issue that has been brought up, and also people have talked a little bit about mental fatigue. To me, that drives me a little bit insane. What is mental fatigue? I'm not exactly sure how you define that, but the conditioning for certain has been an issue, and Derek McKenzie is one of those players who really points that out on the rest of the team.
No, I totally agree with that. And kind of going back to what you were saying, back to the bringing in Carter, bringing in Wisniewski. As I mentioned to you before, had you said to me the third week of July that this team would be where they're at, I would have laughed. This is a 9-win team with a $64 million payroll.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And you talk about the positives. You talk about Derek McKenzie. Derek Dorsett has also been a positive on the team. We talk about the biggest issue, and the fan base is yelling for it. You've got media members yelling for it. Where have the moves been? Why hasn't somebody been fired? Why hasn't there been a blockbuster trade? But I do give Scott Housen credit for 2 things. He brought in Mark Letestu, who's been great, both full strength and on the power play. And he brought in Nikita Nikitin, who's having a career year. He's got 11 points in 18 games, which are career highs for him. And, these are 2 energy guys. They come from winning franchises, and they're guys that have really kind of helped this team out.
Right. There was a time frame about 6 weeks ago, I think, where there was a real momentum to make a change.
After the Philadelphia.
That's correct. And nothing happened. And that was obviously a huge concern. People didn't understand why. And then the team had a slight pickup. They picked up there for a little bit. And I did a one-on-one interview with Scott Housen, the general manager. And his take on it was why he hadn't fired Scott Arniel at this point was that he believed in Arniel, believed in his system, still believes in his system as of tonight against the Calgary Flames, and that he wants to see that continue. I think his point was that he didn't feel that it was the leadership. It was more, are the players actually listening to what he has to say?
Well, I agree. I have 2 thoughts on that. The thought is Scott Arniel has admittedly said, I've never been in a situation like this. I've never been with a losing team. And that is a true statement. When he was in the minors, with Manitoba, that's a team that won championships. They were good teams. Of course, you're coming from the Vancouver organization, so you're talking about a pretty good farm club. So as a young coach, here's a guy who he doesn't know how to handle, honestly, and he has said that. He has said that numerous times. I don't know what to do. And that, that's a problem when you're the head coach of a National Hockey League team, and you've got 4 or 5 other coaches that have been fired this year. And I throughout the fact that Ken Hitchcock, the former Blue Jackets coach, was picked up that same week that everybody thought, oh well, maybe Arniel would be gone, maybe they'll put Hitchcock back in. St. Louis is the hottest team in the NHL right now. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to make some noise.
Yeah.
And here Scott Arniel is. But on the other side of it is, I do agree with Scott Housen in the fact that, hey, you know what? What have these players done?
Yeah.
You know, Rick Nash and James Wisniewski have 2 of the top 5 or 2 of the top lowest plus minuses or highest plus minuses, depending on how you look at it, in the National Hockey League. These are 2 of your highest paid players. They're not playing to their capability, and that's the biggest issue right now.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think Scott Housen, I think he's probably on the money with that for sure. How many coaches are they going to bring into the Blue Jackets organization and see the team continue to perform the same way over and over and over again?
You know, it's frustrating when you see other teams making moves, and you know the Blue Jackets, like I said, they're 17 points out of the playoffs. I mean, you don't have a lot to play for other than pride, and you know. As a journalist and as a fan, I keep hearing these guys say, "Hey, you know, we're trying, we're trying to be better. You know, we're doing this. They have closed doors meetings. They do this. They do that. Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely.
You are $1 million athletes. Go out there and perform like you're paid to."
I think that fans probably deserve and they want to see some passion from their team. I mean, they went out on the ice in the Calgary game, and they did play well. They played better as a team, but you know what was lacking was any passion for them playing. There wasn't a ton of energy. There wasn't a ton of, we really feel like we need to win this game. It was just sort of like, we'll play pretty good tonight.
And you almost got the impression they were happy with the. I mean,
it
seemed like the players
that,
were
yeah.
happy with the 1 point.
Yeah, and
you're 18 points out of the playoffs, and you're
exactly.
happy with 1 point.
And there's no urgency and that's unfortunate. And I hope to see that improve too over the next couple of games. So. What's the stretch coming after Saturday, after New Year's?
Yeah, I was going to say after New Year's, a tough stretch, 10 of 14 on the road
right.
in January and going into early February, including 2 trips to, Southern California, a place where, to think a year ago, the Jackets went out there and swept that, and they won. They won in San Jose, Calgary, or San Jose, LA, Anaheim.
Yeah.
That was great. Hey, they could do it again. Why not? And, there are always 2 trains of thought with elongated road trips, and that is team building, team bonding. You're away from the ice. You're away from the local media. You can go.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And let's hope that they take the positives that we've talked about tonight and build on that and really try and do something over the next couple of weeks.
And I think the message of the fans are you still have to have faith in this team.
Absolutely.
Things are a little low right now, but there's no reason why this team can't turn it around. They can't make the second half of the season interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, I mean, it's good to have an NHL team in Columbus, but it would certainly be an added bonus if they would go out there, play with some passion, and pick up some wins here in the next couple